such an asshole.
Oh, we're so close, boys and girls. So close to being caught up for asshole consulting. And then you guys are going to send in more requests. We have an interesting one here sent in by Jeff. And it's interesting because he made me question myself. And I had to do a little bit of research. Where is it? Hey, Aaron, Happy New Year. Video request question here. You mentioned recently that men have a sex drive of 10 to 1 or 9 out of 10. This is in reference to the Book of Numbers, which I did. When compared to women. Why is this not? Of course, we just can't. Oh, God. I'm sorry, guys. This intrigues me as it's very interesting why you make such a statement bluntly. I'd like for you to research. Can you list the sources? Is it in your book? Yes, it is in the book. Either way, just talk about it for 5 minutes or so. Well, we could talk about it for 5 minutes, but it's going to be a little bit longer. And what Jeff is referring to is in the book is that men are estimated to have a sex drive 9 times that of women. Now, I didn't know where I got that. That had been in my mind for decades. And so the etymology, the history of that number ended up becoming very interesting. So first, article from Psychology Today. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I begin, one guy in the comments section said that that number comes from men having 9 times the amount of testosterone that women do. So that's one particular source. I did not find that study, though. What I did find is a study they quote from 1983, done by a guy called Blumenstein or Blumenthal, some kind of Jewish guy. And it was old, but it was he did some interesting work. And it used the frequency of different types of couples that they have sex as kind of a gauge and a measure for sex drive. So you had straight couples, male, females. You had gay couples, male, male. And you had lesbian couples, female, female. And my best friend being gay and knowing a fair bit about the gay community, you kind of envy these guys. Like, man, you guys want to have sex with each other, and there ain't no women to mess it up. It's just like, God, I wish I was gay. I'm sure some of you would take that out of context. There'll be clips. I wish I was gay. To some extent, yeah, I kind of do. Yeah, it's just because they're all having a good time, and so it's kind of interesting to see the different demand for sex. So where is it? Okay, among couples in the first 2 years, so this is early on in a relationship, 67% of gay couples, 45% of heterosexual couples, and 33% of lesbian couples had sex 3 times a week or more. Now, if we're going to use that, very early on in the relationship, it would seem that men, and I'm doing male to female. I'm not even considering the heterosexual couples because you're negotiating, you're hemming, you're hawing. I want to see raw female sex drive, raw male sex drive. The gay men would represent the raw male. The lesbian couples would represent the raw female. And based on this, it's about 2 times as much, 67% to 33%. Now, what is interesting, this is where if you ever get into the social sciences, there's so many different variables that could change it. The numbers drop off somewhat with time. For couples who have been together 10 years or longer, all right? So now we've gone 10 years. This is all satisfied and stabilized. 11% of the gay couples, this is interesting, 18% of the heterosexual couples, and 1% of the lesbian couples were having sex that often. So it's kind of interesting why the straight couples would be having more than the gay couples. But anyway, if we use the gay couple of 11% compared to the 1% of lesbian, that's more than 10. That's 11 to 1, 1,100% more. So a little bit more supporting there. Then the article goes on to speculate why, boobity, boobity, boppity, bee. And I do want to give due credit. Where is the 1983 study? Here, Bloomstein and Schwartz, American Couples, New York Pocketbooks. All right, so that's where some of this coordinates. And she cites other data here as well. Then I found this on WebMD. It says, sex drive, how do men and women compare? And they go through, it's a 4-page article, only one of which has data we're concerned about. And it goes through several different methods or techniques to calculate the different demands for sex or sex drive between men and women. So they did some polling and all that. Men think more about sex. We're using that as a variable. Majority of adult men under 60 think about sex at least once a day. Only about a quarter of women. The majority of adult men less a day reports long, and only about one quarter of women say. So again, assuming what is the majority? They don't provide that. So 50% divided by a quarter, you're looking at 2 to 1. Was it 75%? It could be 3 to 1, but again, a 2 to 1 minimum ratio. Men seek sex more avidly. Numbers. And here they use masturbation as like 2/3 of men say they masturbate, even though about half say they feel guilty about it. Only 40% of women say they masturbate, and the frequency of masturbation is smaller among women. All right, so whether you do or not is one thing. I'd say instances would matter. If it's smaller than that, you're down to 30%. Again, a 2 to 1 minimum ratio. They talk about priests and nuns. That was a little weird to me. I was shocked how many priests had sex. And I was even more shocked how many half the nuns have had sex. It's like, what? Then they blather about what turns women on, and women's sex drives culturally influenced. No numbers. Women take less direct route. Here's another interesting one. They use orgasms as a ratio. Men take 4 minutes. Women take 10 to 11 hours. I mean, 10 to 11 minutes. You could argue that ratio, again, would be somewhat indicative. 2.5 to 1, 2 to 1. No, 2.5, almost 3 to 1. 75% say they always have an orgasm. Men. 75% say they have an orgasm, but 26% of women. 3 to 1. Women's libido less responsive to drugs. All right, so there we go. So using the gay and lesbian sex frequency studies, and then all these other measures, we're somewhere between 11 to a 2 to 1. If we were to take all these numbers, it's probably closer to 3, maybe 4. We don't know. And an interesting thing is, as you'll find out, is the relationship linear? Like the rate doesn't necessarily mean men have a sex drive 3 times as much. What if it's an exponential relationship? What if that, and that might also explain a 9 to 1 ratio. But let's just say for being academically honest or intellectually honest, the low end is 2, the high end is 11. What, 7, 6-ish? Are we in the middle? Somewhere in there. I would tend to weigh the frequency of sex because that would be the ultimate, polling. Well, how much do you jerk off? All right, well, how much do you think about it? And it's like, okay, how much do you actually have of it? That would kind of indicate to me. And, do you want to do a 2-year or 10-year? It's at minimum 2 and at the high end 10. But I think I'm wrong. I think it's not 9 times. That probably likely came from the ratio of men's testosterone in the system versus women. And so if I were to, it's not even be intellectually honest, if I weren't to be lazy, I'd go back and change it in the book, but it's a pain in the ass to do that. So here's the correction. Men have a sex drive of about 6 times that of women based on various studies and my fine ballparking estimates. And there you go. Let's go to the chats. How was the video this time, guys? Was it bad? Oh, by the way, follow me on Twitter. My Twitter subscription has been going on. I made 13,000. Now I'm back to 12.8. I don't know if Twitter's going on a purge, but you can follow me on Twitter. I have hilarious memes I just posted one. That's it. All right. Isaac, 1/18th. Okay. Maybe it's 18 to 1, but it doesn't bear out in action. All right, I got more to come. We'll see you guys later, Toodles.